Breaking news tonight. Reports of shots fired at a gas station that's been the site of protests and drug arrests. One Jackson police officer has been wounded. 16 WAPT's Jennifer Ortega joins us live. Jennifer, what do we know? But it's hard not to look at the recovery without remembering how many people we lost and how many people we thought we might lose during that storm. Bert Case has been looking at that. Now, 8 deaths attributed to last week's polar blast. The latest is Buddy Pulliam, who slipped on the ice outside a courthouse in Laurel Thursday. To try and give you some additional scale, check this out. We're standing on what is the equivalent of about 5 stories. And this is how far the Mississippi River has dropped in just 1 year.
So what in the world did he steal?
Well, I mean, he stole beer. He took beer, didn't pay for it, drank it. That's theft.
Right.
He's being held with no bond yet. They want some tests done and a mental evaluation before they move any further on this case. Ole Miss Chancellor Dan Jones is vowing he will not step down after the IHL said he's out of a job in September. Today, an exclusive one-on-one interview, Jones told me that the news caught him by surprise Friday. The IHL vote was not close, 9-2, not to renew Jones's contract. There are various social media sites now up and running designed to try and keep Jones in place. There's also a rally scheduled at the university's Lyceum for this Wednesday at noon. Tonight, Governor Phil Bryant's office sent me a statement regarding the decision on Jones. Quote, Governor Bryant absolutely did not ask IHL to not renew Chancellor Jones' contract. Breaking news tonight. Reports of shots fired at a gas station that's been the site of protests and drug arrests. One Jackson police officer has been wounded. 16 WAPT's Jennifer Ortega joins us live. Jennifer, what do we know? More information coming in on that shooting incident at Bailey Avenue and Northside Drive where a Jackson police officer was shot in the leg. We're told he was grazed. We just heard from Calendula Green from JPD. Here's what she had to say. That's right. Thanks a lot, Nathan. You know, we're continuing our severe weather coverage tonight. 16 WAPT's Jennifer Ortega is live in Jackson. Jennifer, we see some trouble on the roads tonight, haven't we? We have been. You know, tonight reports of power outages throughout the entire state. In fact, nearly 1,200 people without power in the greater Warren County area. Another 900 people without power in Vicksburg tonight. Nearly 800 outages in Crystal Springs, over 200 in Clinton, about 150 each in Pearl and Flowood. Now, in total, we're talking about 5,500 outages reported statewide. Let's bring back our meteorologist, Nathan Scott. What can we expect, at least from what we have for the rest of the night?
Yeah, like I said,
it was a day for a lot of thank yous in the Brookhaven area. Also time to make good on a deal made with a little scared boy who was trapped in a well. They made sure they honored Gabe's promise. A host of volunteer and full-time firefighters pitched in to pull Gabe out of that old well and then get that rope around his little dog Odie to pull him out, too. You know, Ryan, 10 years ago, I was one of the anchors who not only watched but reported on Hurricane Katrina as it slammed head-on in this region where I'm standing right now between Bay St. Louis, Mississippi and Waveland. It changed lives, and it helped reshape the decade. Now the storm has become a time marker of sorts. People all over the Gulf Coast talk about things as before Katrina and after Katrina. Clearly, Katrina was a game changer. Here in Bay St. Louis, they refer to this tree right here as the angel tree because survivors actually held onto its limbs to ride out the tremendous storm surge. Authorities have tied more than 1,800 fatalities to this hurricane. 238 of those deaths were right here in this state. Real estate experts estimate total property damage from Katrina at more than $80 billion. And the federal government has sent more than $100 billion in federal aid into the Gulf Coast. It seems almost cliche to say, yet almost unanimous that this storm has been unmatched. You know, there have been 2 tales of Hurricane Katrina, that massive flooding and dysfunction in the city of New Orleans, and then the utter destruction here on Mississippi's Gulf Coast.
In some ways, the state has been numerous times.
Over the past 10 years, Good Morning America anchor Robin Roberts has been a champion for Mississippi. The Mississippi native has brought ABC and their national spotlight to her hometown of Pass Christian dozens of times. It is hard not to notice the incredible changes that have occurred in this Gulf Coast region, certainly from the days when I was a little kid vacationing down here to now. But this rebuilding effort has been a testament to the strength of this area when you look at where things were 10 years ago and where they are now. So we remember 10 years after this horrible storm, and we keep our eye fixed on the hundreds of lives that we lost during Hurricane Katrina. But there is progress here on the Gulf Coast and in the state of Mississippi, from the coast way past the capital. People who are continuing to rebuild this state and trying to make it a very good place. We celebrate this time with our eyes fixed on the future. Live from the Gulf Coast, Scott Simmons, Back to you. Now, according to Pearl Police, it might have just been ruled a horrible Saturday accident here at this Walmart in Pearl if the two suspects had stayed to offer assistance to their 85-year-old victim and been truthful with investigators. 44-year-old Rebecca Bobo turned herself into Pearl Police just after midnight Tuesday morning. She wasn't allowed to go home, instead locked up in the Rankin County Detention Center. Pearl Police also want to arrest her mom, 71-year-old Lois Warnock, who was driving this motorized grocery cart Saturday morning that plowed 85-year-old Erling Sturgis into the ground. The victim, who was on her walker just before the crash, now has 2 broken vertebrae in her neck, 3 in her back.
I can't understand why someone would do this and then just despair.
That was but one sticking point in the grocery cart assault case, according to investigators. Not only did the mother and daughter walk away from the injured woman soon after the collision, but surveillance footage shows both driving away with the tailgate of their vehicle lifted. Police suspect it was to block the view of their license plate. When I talked to Rebecca Bobo on the phone, she said it was because her AC wasn't working.
We should have never left there. I realized that was a mistake. We should have stayed and seen about the little old lady, and I'm very sorry.
Both women are charged with simple assault, but 44-year-old Rebecca Bobo is charged with misrepresentation to a law enforcement officer. In short, because authorities have questions about what she said she did after the collision.
I can't really go into the ABCs of that, but I can obviously say that, they were asked to give a fact that they knew to be true already before the case started, and then they immediately went the other direction with it and told them opposite information.
It might have started as a horrible accident at Walmart, but now this caught-on-camera grocery cart case is headed before a judge. Well, police say 71-year-old Lois Warnock lives out of state. They have been talking with her, but there is no indication when she'll turn herself over to authorities. I also spoke with the victim's family. Erling Sturgis is still in the hospital, 5 broken vertebrae, wearing a back brace today and able to sit up, but no indication when she gets to go home. Live in Pearl, Scott Simmons, 16, WAPT News. It was a day for a lot of thank yous in the Brookhaven area. Also time to make good on a deal made with a little scared boy who was trapped in a well. They made sure they honored Gabe's promise. It might have sounded like an emergency response, but actually it was a welcomed return call at this home outside Brookhaven. Many of the rescuers who helped pull little 4-year-old Gabe Albritton out of a deep, dark well Monday evening
Pepperoni, didn't you say it was your favorite?
Came back Saturday to make good on a promise.
Promised him some pizza and a ride on the fire truck if he'd step in the loop so we could pull him out.
A well just 24 inches wide, somewhere between 25 and 40 feet deep. It was Chris Reed who talked to that little boy for more than 3 hours, coaxing, comforting, hoping to convince 4-year-old Gabe that they would get him out of that well.
Just talking to him the whole time, trying to keep him calm, while everybody else here was working to get him out.
Why did you go down in that hole?
Odie.
Gabe fell in after trying to rescue his own little dog, Odie, that had fallen in before him. An anguishing memory his mother would rather not recall.
If it wasn't for these people, my son would not be here. He has been talking about this ever since it happened. He was wanting to go right on that fire truck.
Gabe, with his mom at his side, got that fire truck ride, leaving just a few feet from the now gravel-filled well that gave them such a scare. A chance to relish a turn of events that could have ended far worse. A host of volunteer and full-time firefighters pitched in to pull Gabe out of that old well and then get that rope around his little dog, Odie, to pull him out, too.
Yes, operator, I'm on I-20.
When we were calling 911, we found ourselves in the middle of a grass fire, gaining speed. Trucks and cars in the interstate, pushing through the billowing smoke. Visibility was non-existent at times. In a few short minutes, volunteers from Bovina arrived. Just 2 of them at first, trying to stretch a water hose to reach those hottest spots.
God, you're getting a little too close to the road.
Yeah, no, thank you.
And no one feels comfortable standing between the fire and the traffic.
He can't move it. He's not slid off too far. If he moves, it's going to tip.
You want to go ahead and add some more hose to that and I'll walk with it?
The fire is pushing past the interstate.
What comes across your mind when you get a call like this?
Thank goodness it in the vehicle.
I don't know how this started. I can't say how it started. It could be a hot muffler. Somebody pulled over for a second.
A match, just you name it. It's chains, tractor, around concrete and go. Okay, David.
That's it. You're good.
And the challenge for these firefighters is their closest backup is in Culkin, about 10 miles away. And those guys are volunteers too.
A little frustrating, to say the least.
Frustrating because someone else's carelessness with a cigarette butt may have caused it. The fire was contained and kept from reaching a farmer's field. And these volunteers are going back to their day jobs.
You ready to back up, Ken?
Hoping drivers will be more careful in these hot, dry conditions. In Bovina, Scott Simmons, 16 WAPT News. And no shirt, no shoes, no service, not what this man apparently believed to be the case. He allegedly broke into the 303 Jefferson restaurant in Clinton, and police say they didn't have to go very far to catch him. The restaurant 303 Jefferson hasn't been open long in Clinton.
It's like the police caught him in the restaurant.
But patrons were still talking about what happened Monday morning.
What did they do? Break the door? No, the window. The windows to the window.
This is what surveillance cameras captured just before 4 Monday morning. The alarms went off, the cameras were rolling.
Quite honestly, I was thinking, the worst, vandals or kids vandalizing, I was going to come into a big mess.
A shirtless, shoeless guy who was determined to get inside. In the patio, he smashes the window to the door. He grabs a fire extinguisher.
Looks like he's trying to, but I don't think he can get it to work.
Once inside the restaurant, he grabs a few beers, throws a few chairs, even posters off the wall. He had plenty of time to get in and out, but lingered around just a little too long. As he exits the back door, police are there to greet him and throw the cuffs on him. Suffice to say, the geography of this crime leaves a lot of questions. It is across the street from City Hall. And oh, by the way, the restaurant is also next door to the mayor's house.
I would think the further away from the police station, the better off you are.
The mayor and police are trying to get to the bottom of this break-in and learn more about the suspect, identified as 33-year-old Gordon Edward Jensen. Police charged him with commercial burglary.
My goal while I'm in office is to just let the criminals know you don't want to come here.
Police station's right there right now. Police station where?
It is the subject of table fodder at the Clinton restaurant while police pursue the case against the suspect who didn't believe in the policy. No shirt, no shoes, no service.
Scott, I've never seen such. Okay, so what in the world did he steal?
Well, he stole beer. He took beer, didn't pay for it, drank it. That's theft.
Right.
He's being held with no bond yet. They want some tests done and a mental evaluation before they move any further on this case.